Hello, and welcome to the 1218 Show. My name is Mike Wilson, and I am your host. So this is a special edition of the 1218 Show. I just wanted to get on here and say hello to everybody, first of all, because I haven't been on in a while. It's been, a couple months, actually, since I think I've talked to you guys. And I know last time I said I was going to start doing some different kind of things, maybe some late-night podcasting, because of kind of the romantic side of... I remember I said that if I was writing it in a book, late night in New York City, an apartment, a light on deep in an apartment somewhere. I got a pop filter here. I think that will help because I'm seeing on the thing here that it's making some noises when I say my P's. Anyway, so I wanted to kind of do one of these late night things on a weird night here in New York because we just nominated a new mayor. And I am not excited about it. And I don't think very many people are, which is crazy because he got almost 51% of the vote of the people that voted. But I don't understand the excitement behind this guy. I mean, sure, something new, something different, but this guy doesn't line up with much of America, like the values and the way that things work. I mean, he thinks he's gonna, freeze all these rents and, defund the police and do all these things. Well, what does he think is gonna happen in the city? I mean, it's gonna become a cesspool of shit. So I don't really understand because a lot of people are leaving. I mean, myself included, actually. Teresa and I are leaving next summer. We're planning on doing it a year and a half, but when our choices came down to Andrew Cuomo, who most of you know that I cannot stand, like he's the last person on the earth that I would want running shit. I think he's one of the biggest scumbags in all of politics. Or this guy who is an admitted socialist. I don't see how this city's gonna rebound from this. Now I know, generally speaking, politics, it's you kind of just throw it all away because all the promises that they make, they can rarely keep. A small portion. They can usually only keep a small portion of them. Rarely keep them because all the steps they have to go through to get stuff through, past, whatever you want to call it. But these are scary times. I mean, the mayor does have control of the police department, or a good amount of control over the police department. And I don't know that this guy's promising everybody's going to have a free bus pass. I don't think that that's going to fly. But even if it does, the question is, where does he think this money's coming from? I mean, there's already been an exodus because of COVID, right? There's been quite a few people leave New York. And the one thing that's always driven New York, well, the two things are Broadway and Wall Street. People always kind of forget how much money Broadway brings into the city, but Broadway itself brings in more money than all the sports teams. It's kind of a little known fact. And there's a lot of sports here, but Broadway is a massive contributor to the economy here. But Wall Street, you don't have to be on Wall Street anymore. You're not required to live here anymore to be on Wall Street. And there's already a good amount of money on Wall Street that's left. And you can see that in the nightlife, steakhouses and the fancy restaurants and things that used to be all down in the financial district. They're not there anymore. Many of them have closed. And a lot of really nice high-end food establishments, stuff like that depended on Wall Street money, disappeared. They're not able to survive anymore because the people aren't going out. One, because first of all, corporate accounts have, spending has cut back quite a bit. That was happening before, maybe 10 years ago. We noticed that when in the bars ourselves, we'd get a lot less corporate cards, things like that. But the fact that they don't have to be here anymore. Many of them are not. They can work remotely. You don't have to be on the floor of the New York Stock Exchange anymore to trade stocks and to make trades and do all that. So why live here without, the perks of New York, the greatest things about New York is that there's always, everything's, you can walk to essentially. You don't have to have a car, I guess is my way. Public transportation is a good thing. So you don't have to worry, if you want to go out and have dinner or drinks or whatever, you can walk within it or hop on the bus or the train and you're there shortly, and it's nice and easy. It flows. It's great. Everything else in New York is a pain in the ass, but that's definitely one of the perks. But you've got so many great events here. All the sports, all four major sports, are a train stop away. Plus, you've got the U.S. Open, and you've got the Gov Ball, and you've got, countless concerts, and Broadway itself is just amazing. There's tons of live entertainment. Bars and restaurants have live music venues like Arlene's Grocery. Some of them have closed too, like CBGB's was a huge punk rock scene era, or a punk rock bar that was here the first, 10 years that I lived here. I don't remember what year it closed, but a lot of these places have closed. But I don't see how, these companies and these people that don't want to pay socialist taxes, essentially, when it comes down to it, and live in a neighborhood where they don't have the support of the government, the police don't have the support of the people in charge. Well, nobody wants to live in a area where police just throw up their hands and say nothing we can do, especially in a major urban area like New York City. Obviously, there's got to be some level of, you got to be able to know that they can do what they need to do. And this guy's openly stated that he's not interested in keeping, that kind of safety. I don't know. I guess he thinks that we're going to self, vigilante justice. I don't know what he thinks is going to happen, but it's already gotten way worse than it was 10 years ago. Here's what I don't understand. The best times in New York City, arguably, depends on who you ask, what generation they come from or whatever. But I think most people would agree that if you've been here long enough, the best times in New York City were under Giuliani and Bloomberg, right? That's a 20-year span. Giuliani did 8 years, Bloomberg did 12. Now, that's not to say the city didn't have problems. That's not to say that, they didn't have their flaws as politicians and the people didn't like them. Of course, there's always issues. Nobody's ever going to agree on everything when it comes to politics or people in charge. But the city was thriving. You felt safe. There was, crime was relatively low. You could get on a train at night. You didn't even think about it. You could go to the outer boroughs on the train at night. You just didn't worry about stuff. As long as you used your head and didn't go into very specific certain areas, you always felt like you had some level of safety. Well, that's been going away now for 6-8 years. People, ladies especially, won't ride the train after dark, and I can't blame them. I know I won't. Like the ladies that I care about in my life, I strongly advise against riding the subway after dark now. And it's just not the place that people people don't want to live like that, right? You don't want to live having to look over your shoulder 24/7. Now, if you're a city person and you're street smart, you're constantly got an eye wandering anyway. You always make sure that you're, something crazy is not going to happen. It's not like you just go and jack around on your phone on the edge of the subway platform and just pretend that nothing can happen. That's kind of silly. Now, there are people that do that, but they're just dumb. There's nothing wrong with calling a spade a spade. If you're stupid, you're stupid. But for the most part, you kept an eye on your surroundings, stayed aware, and you didn't really have to worry about it. If you saw trouble brewing, you could just disappear. But with the number of troublemakers, let's say, increasing, and the level of it getting worse, and also little tiny pockets of little gangs and stuff, teenagers in groups of 5 or 6 causing problems, wreaking havoc, that kind of stuff. It's only going to get worse with less presence, with less police presence, with less law enforcement, with less punishment. I mean, the bail reform thing, Cuomo signed that, I think, in 2019. Basically, get out of jail free card. You go to jail, you just get out. I mean, no cash bail, all that shit. I mean, it's gotten really, really bad, and now it's even worse. I mean, we were planning on leaving in the summer of 27. And when it came down to the choices that we had for mayor, we had a serious talk. We're like, we gotta get out of here. This is bad, and we're not alone. I mean, I know several people that have said that they're leaving. I don't know if they will or not, but we got to get out of here. I can't. It's not going to get better. In fact, it's going to get much worse, I think, before it gets better. Not to say that it won't come back someday down the road, but I don't know how bad it has to get for people to realize that they're continuing to make bad decisions. This is, we live in a digital society now where, what's the word I'm looking for? Empathy or sympathy is kind of gone. Like a lot of these, the violence that's going on these days, it's because they're almost being, they don't have the, oh gosh, I'm blanking on the word right now. Compassion for other human beings. So they're more violent because they're living in a digital world. I hate to use the word brainwashed because it seems like a cliche word, but they're brainwashed into, when you're constantly watching this stuff, watching other violence and watching hate and stuff on your phone, essentially, in your digital world, it wears off on you. And so you don't, smacking somebody up with the head for no reason. These people don't feel guilty about it anymore because they can go home and just watch more of it on their phones and tablets, and that's just normal life because they watch it all the time. Now, I know some people are going to think, well, you're crazy. People don't always do that, whatever. But it's there. It's obvious. I saw a girl one day. She was coming out of the bank, and these 4 kids were walking in front of me. I was on my way to work, and these 4 kids were walking, and this girl just came out of the bank, and she had a grocery bag in both hands. And these 4 teenagers just walking by, and one of them just hauled off and slapped this chick right upside the head. She dropped one of her bags of groceries, and the 4 kids, one of them kind of laughed, and they just kept walking like nothing had happened. And I witnessed it, but I was on my way to work, and it was one of those things where if I'm late, I'm causing somebody else to not be able to get out on time, type of thing. And I saw some other guy rush up to the lady and say, "Hey, are you all right?" Whatever. And somebody else was calling the police and all that. So I was like, okay, I don't need to be involved, because had I had time, I would have just stayed back a block or two, followed them with the cops on the line until they showed up, and I could point them out. I mean, that would have been what I would have done had I had the time. But I just witnessed it, and I saw some other people step in. I don't know what ended up happening, if the kids got caught or not, but. My point is, I don't think that type of just random acts of violence, and obviously it's not going to kill the lady or nothing like that, but a guy just walks out of the bank, 2 bags of groceries in her hands, just gets slapped. I mean, who deserves that? There was zero reason for it. And it was, I'm sure that the underlying issues, which were obvious if you'd seen it, were a factor. I don't think that if this lady that was coming out of the bank had other features, she would not have been targeted. She was a cute little blonde girl. I'd say she's probably 30 years old. Just slapped the shit out of her. Didn't even matter. Just kept walking on. And it was really kind of like, wow, this is the world we live in now. This is what teenagers think is cute. We used to throw snowballs at cars. I mean, that was our big moments of mischief. I don't know. I don't know how it got to just randomly slapping people on the street, but I don't know. I don't think this is going to get better, and I can't live. I can't. I don't want to stay here to find out. And just the policies from the top down, from what people are required to do. Police. I think I talked to some police people, and that are required to, fall into the woke isms and stuff. If when it comes to misgendering people and all this kind of crap that is just stupid. They've been a police, you can be a police officer for 15 years, doesn't matter what your personal thoughts are, you're now commanded that you have to play along with the fantasy. And this goes for teachers, this goes for basically anybody that works in the state or for the government in any way. Teachers, policemen, fire, all the way down the list. Of course, even like if you're, let's say you're an ER doctor, and somebody gets hit by a car, and you go up and they, say, oh, are you all right, whatever. They're going through their checklist or whatever, and they say, oh yeah, my ovaries hurt, and so they, start poking around and say, dude, you have a dick. Like, I don't understand that. I don't know. This kind of shit's just, I don't know, just random stuff I thought about, but. My point is, all these rules that are catering to the people that want to live in fantasy world, that want to live in a world that's not actually real, that completely deny biology and do not understand the difference between biology and psychology. They're making waves, and they're getting their way, and it's weird. It's very weird. And then you got this guy who's gonna apparently give away all this free shit, free bus rides, and free rents, and all that stuff. But there's not going to be any money coming in, so I don't know where he thinks he's going to get it, because a lot of the money's moving out. I mean, if you think about, and I'm in by no way a perfect citizen. However, I'm good to my neighbors. I'm polite on the street. I go to restaurants. I spend a little bit of money. I pay my taxes. I'm a good citizen in a city, right? Or in any community. I'm not causing any problems. I'm not doing anything that would stir up anything, make anybody mad or anything like that. I'm a good neighbor, right? So, people like myself or us or whatever, if we're leaving to go to somewhere else that might be more appreciative of those types of values, I don't understand why that isn't important to some people. I don't know. I don't know what the answer is, but I certainly don't think voting in a socialist and just somebody who is so dead set against the president of the United States. I know that people don't like him. I understand that people don't like him, and I understand why. I mean, he's brash, and early in his political career, he really just said some really nasty stuff. But he's kicking ass now. I don't care what anybody says. This guy on a world stage, this dude is just knocking over left and right, just exposing shit and getting shit done. Unlike any president in the last I don't know. Maybe in my lifetime. I can't believe how much stuff this guy's accomplished. Now, whether you view it as an accomplishment or not, that's on you. But I don't think there's anybody that can argue that this guy is working his ass off and getting stuff done. Now, it's yet to be seen whether his efforts are futile or if what he's doing is going to pay off. But when you've got politicians like this guy that we just elected mayor, who simply says, no matter what Trump says, it's the opposite. Like he just hates Trump, and you got to stand up to him and fight against him, whatever. Why wouldn't you just say, like, hey, you know what? We got the president, a duly elected president of the United States. I'm a politician. We don't see eye to eye on everything, but I want to work with this guy. We want to find some common ground here, because the irony is, contrary to what the news will tell you, everything I've seen, if you got a real concern, Trump's willing to give you the time to sit and talk. I mean, shit, he had Kanye West in his office, for crying out loud. If you want to talk to Trump and you're a real player in whatever realm it is that you are, but specifically in politics, he'll make the time for you. He'll have a conversation with you. Now, it might not come out the way you want, but at least he sits with an open mind. I can't believe the number of times that I've seen examples of him being like, "Oh, I never thought about that. Let me give that a thought." How many people in politics are that way, or even in real life? Like, they're so closed-minded. Now, when on the issues that he does seem closed-minded about, it's not that he's closed-minded; it's that he's already thought it through. So when you're telling him, because I feel like that's the way a lot of people are, like myself included. If I've already thought through an issue or a topic and I've decided what my opinion is, unless somebody comes to me and says, "Hey, listen, I've got an idea that you probably haven't thought about," then I can listen to it with an open mind. But if you're spewing the same old stuff that I've heard, thought, and entertained, and I've come up with my own conclusions, then it's a waste of time to sit and argue it and talk. I don't, unless you want to ask me, "Hey, what do you think about this?" I'll happily tell you. But most of the time, I'm just like, yeah, move on with the conversation. I'm not interested. It doesn't change anything. It's not going to change your mind. It's not going to change my mind unless you're coming at me with something fresh, a new point of view, or a new whatever. So I just don't understand this level. And, I was watching, some of the coverage from the election and the stuff that's going on in California, and all these people that were voting in California for this Prop 50 or whatever the hell it's called, and there was polls that they put up, and they said the reasons you voted yes for whatever this was, and it was like 50% of them was to defy Trump. Like, I just don't understand why. Like, how can you make decisions, like serious decisions? Maybe you don't take voting seriously, but how can you place your votes just because you don't like a specific person and you don't even have a reason, like a legit political reason? You just think, "Oh, I don't like him." Well, who cares if you don't like him? You know how many assholes there are that have made phenomenal things? Steve Jobs might be the biggest asshole in the history of business, and yet 30% of the world walks around with iPhones. Ray Kroc, who there's not a person that's listening to this or ever that hasn't had at least McDonald's once. Ray Kroc is one of the biggest dicks ever in the history of business. And we can go on down the list of hugely successful assholes. And there are several in government as well. Andrew Cuomo is one of them. They're just asshole after asshole after asshole. So I don't know. I don't think that being an asshole is required to be super successful. I don't think that that's a trait that is necessary to have. I think you can be an awesome dude or an awesome person, dude, chick, whatever, and still be successful. But there are quite a few historically that are total assholes. I mean, even, what's his name, Zuckerberg from Facebook. I mean, what a dick. That guy just stole their idea, stole the Winklevoss ideas, and he took their idea and then worked faster than they could and just essentially stole it. Now they got paid off for it, but this is not, we all know the history of Facebook. This is not his baby. It's like an adopted. He adopted him. He's like an adopted kid. He got it at like, infancy, and then ran with it. So, Facebook is his, but he didn't birth it. If any of that makes sense. Kind of a silly analogy, but all right. Well, I don't know. That's just my thoughts tonight because it's kind of a weird night. And like I said, I want to do a few more of these kind of stream of consciousness things, late night talking. It's 1:38 in the morning here in New York City, and all the lights are off, and the neighbors are sleeping, and I just wanted to say hello, kind of ramble about the situation that New York City's in, because I don't think it's going to end well, or I don't think it's going to not end. I mean, New York City's not ending, but I don't think that the near future is very bright. Not for anybody that isn't looking for a handout, or that isn't afraid of, or that is afraid of their safety and crime and things like that. I don't think this is going to go well at all. So we're leaving, and I know there's another good chunk of people that also are planning to go. I mean, we've already lost, I don't know, a couple 100,000 people during COVID, because that was such a bullshit thing. People were like, fuck this, I'm out of here. And now this, I guess, the people that are voting for this kind of stuff don't want us here, and they're just shoving us out, and that's fine. I mean, whatever. It's plenty of country, and I'm ready to go. So I'm gonna go live somewhere else where my values and my neighborly ways are a little more appreciated, I guess, and specifically my tax dollars. It's too crazy expensive in this city anyway, but I don't want it to be more expensive so that I can give people that aren't working hard, my money. No thanks. Sorry, dude. Pay for the fucking bus. The MTA is a mess right now anyway. They took out all the station attendants. You walk in them now, it's at your own risk. You might find a cop or two in every maybe fifth or sixth station. But if you go into it used to be, when I first moved up here, going to the station on 77th Street, and there was a 24-hour toll booth, or a booth attendant in the subway station at all times. So any given time, if anything went down, there was a direct line to 911 right there, and somebody that could help you if you had a question or whatever. And now you walk down there, and it's at your own risk. And they took that booth out, I don't know, it's probably been about 10 years ago. And so it was always a little weird. Now this is the Upper East Side, so there's always a little bit more of a police presence because this is a well-funded neighborhood. But other stations in the city, it's creepy. It's fucking creepy. So I don't know, man. This is weird times. Weird times. I don't like the way things are going on the city level. So and I feel like the problem is it only takes a short amount of time to mess everything up, and it takes years and years to recover. And I feel like we're seeing that now. If you look over the past 20 years of politics, and I think it all started in 2008. And there's a lot of people that will equate the time with the politicians. I tend to think that it was 2008 was late 2007, but 2008 is when everybody got a smartphone, and the smartphone destroyed humanity in many, many ways, and it also fucking destroyed politics, because the voice of few seemed to be the loudest, and somehow politicians are appealing to those people. Instead of listening to the quiet majority, they are listening to the few screamers. And I don't understand that. Why are you catering to, 4, 5, 6% of the base when you should be catering to the masses? It doesn't really make sense to me, but that's just it's open for discussion, open for topic. It's good to talk about. As long as you can do it with a level head and a cool heart. There's been times in my life where I get kind of heated up because somebody will disagree with me, and I'm like, why do you disagree with me? And I just get mad. But the older I get and the more calm I get, the easier I am able to debate. And then if I'm, I'm not going to admit when I'm wrong. If I'm like, all right, you got a good point. I don't have an argument for that. But sometimes I just don't have an argument for it because I don't have the knowledge. So I'll just simply say, I don't know. I love when people are like, oh, Hillary Clinton, did this in Gaza or Benghazi or wherever it was. I'm like, I don't know anything about that conflict. I know nothing about it. So I'm like, oh yeah, I don't know anything about that. And just say it. And then, everybody's got their version of it. I don't know what really happened. I don't know the versions of what happened. I just don't know. So oftentimes, if you get into these kind of debates, one of the things that kind of jerks will do is bring up an issue that they know something about. Maybe they know a lot about it. Maybe they know just what they've been told in the news, whatever. And they'll use that as an example. And then you have to say, well, I don't know anything about that. And they'll say, well, see, then, that's why. And it's like, okay. I mean, it's an arguing tactic to trap you. But if you just don't fall for it and just say, just admit it, I don't know anything about that, but let's talk about what I do know about, or what we both can discuss with knowledge. And then the stuff that we both don't have anything on, we'll have to set aside or look it up if maybe you both are sitting by a computer or can learn something together. I don't know. It's always interesting, but it's there's no point in debating with people that don't have open ears or open minds, that aren't willing to have a conversation with you, especially when you don't understand stuff. One of the best things I think about debating somebody is like, listen, I don't understand how this works. What do you think about it? Do you know anything about it? Oh yeah, I know this, I know that. Okay, where did you learn that? Is that just something that you got off of one of the news channels, be it left wing or right wing or whatever? Actually, that's one more thing that I want to say, and then I'm going to end this because it's getting. I've been running now. I don't know 15 minutes. I don't understand. I don't want to say I don't understand. I don't understand it either, but I don't think newspapers, news outlets, TV stations, news programming, any of these things, I don't think they should endorse candidates. I don't understand it. Your job is to deliver the fucking news. I don't want your opinion on who you think that we should vote for. For instance, out here, the New York Post is generally leans right, more conservative or Republican, whichever way, however you want to say it. And the Daily News leans left, more Democrat, more blue, left side, whatever. And so on every race, every president, the Daily News endorses Joe Biden. And the New York Post, the New York Post endorses Donald Trump. The last time it was Kamala Harris, whatever, Donald Trump. So, but why? Why are you endorsing anything? Your job's to tell the fucking news. Now, when you open the paper that you're going to get an angle from both, which also drives me nuts. Now, those are two rags that you can read tongue-in-cheek because you know that they're coming at you with an angle. But when you're like a real newspaper, like the New York Times or the Washington Post, or the Chicago Tribune, why are you ever reporting news with an angle? And why are you endorsing candidates? That should not be happening. And I feel like we as the people need to demand better from our news sources. And I know this is kind of beating a dead horse, but I feel like it's a different angle. I hear all the time like, you can't trust the news anymore. You can't believe anything anybody says. And I actually agree with that. It's just they've lost all credibility. And I think COVID was the nail in the coffin on that. Like COVID proved how corrupt so much of these news outlets were. But I've never been okay with them endorsing candidates, and all of them do it. And it bothers me. It bothers me a lot. I don't think your news sources should be endorsing candidates. Okay, I love you guys. That's the end of my little rant for this evening. God bless New York. God bless the USA, man. This is some crazy, weird times, and I hope it all works out in the end. But my optimism is not always as shining as I'd like it to be. Alrighty, guys. I hope you are safe and sound, and I hope that you have a phenomenal rest of the week. Thank you for your time, and I will catch up with you again soon. Adios.